Hey guys, in this video I'm going to show you how you can invest in big companies like Amazon, Tesla, and Apple if you have very little money to actually invest. So as you probably know, if you're watching this video, Tesla has a very high stock price, around $650 per share right now. Apple, you have 122. Amazon, you're looking at $3,000, and you're looking at around $3,000. So you're looking at some very high share prices, and to buy just one share, it would cost quite a bit of money. And so a lot of people don't have the extra money to do that. But you can actually invest in these for a fraction of what the actual share costs. And there are a few websites that allow you to do this. So one is called Stash. Stash.com is a new type of investing app and service that allows you to also invest in fractional shares. This basically means you can invest in something like Tesla or Amazon or Apple and buy a fraction of a share, but still see your money grow as the company grows. So if the company's share price keeps going up, even though you bought only a fraction of a share, your investment keeps growing, your portfolio keeps growing. So you can get started with a lot of these types of sites with just a few dollars. So what's nice about Stash is they don't actually charge you a percentage in fees like a lot of companies do. They actually have very low monthly fees that you pay. So you pay the exact same amount each month, and therefore you can save more and more money as your portfolio grows because you're paying a smaller and smaller percentage because you're paying the same amount each month. So instead of paying, however much percent for your portfolio, you are paying, a few dollars a month. So if you go to stash.com/pricing, you can see their different memberships. You have a beginner program that's $1 a month. You have the middle program called Stash Growth for $3 a month. And then you have the $9 a month Stash Plus program. And you can see all the perks and benefits that come with these. Like one will come with the retirement Roth or traditional IRA, certain tax benefits that the others might not have. And then you have something like a 2x stock with the stock back card, premium research and advice and stuff like that, $10,000 life insurance. And, so certain things will come with certain packages, but you're just paying that $9 a month or the $3 a month instead of it being, a percentage of your portfolio, which will be more and more in fees as it grows. So you can actually get started and invest with as little as $1 with Stash, which is very nice. You can manage it all on your phone as well. They have an app for both Apple and Android devices that looks like this. So you can see a few screenshots here, kind of what it looks like. And it's very simple, very easy to navigate, and is just one of the very well rated investing apps out there right now, even though it hasn't been around that long. So as far as the perks for this, you can get started with as little as $1. You can purchase fractional shares in big companies like Amazon and Tesla for a fraction of what the share price is. And they also have fractional shares of ETFs, otherwise known as exchange traded funds. So this is basically, you have the long version you can see on Wikipedia here, but it's a type of fund instead of just one particular stock that you are actually able to trade. So some of the ones I'm going to mention in this video don't let you do that, but if you look at the definition here, is a type of investment fund that is traded on a stock exchange. So it's like a group or a fund instead of just one single stock. But Stash seems like a great option for you if you want to invest in big companies but don't have much money to do so. And you can go to learn.stash.com and they will tell you exactly how their fractional shares work and give you a little more of their side of things and explain things a little more than what I already did. So next you have Charles Schwab. So you've probably heard of this. This is a company that's been around a very long time, for finance and investing and things like that. So if you go to Schwab, you can actually buy what are stock slices. That's what they call it. Some companies will have, instead of calling them fractional shares, they'll call them something else. But Schwab, you buy stock slices, which lets you invest in any stock in the S&P 500, but doesn't allow fractional ETF investing. So Stash does allow ETF investing. Charles Schwab does not, but they do let you invest in pretty much any stock in the S&P 500 with fractional shares. And obviously, Tesla, Amazon, Apple, Google, Facebook, all those are in the S&P 500. So you can get started for as little as $5 each, even if their stock price is like $3,000 like Amazon. $5 each, up to 10 companies, and this is completely commission free. It's available in the retail Schwab brokerage, custodial, and an individual retirement account, which is also known as an IRA. And you will be able to trade shares in real time throughout the trading day using market orders, which is also nice, of course. And another kind of perk to this, like if you have kids or grandkids, you can invest in fractional shares and give them to them using what is called a custodial account. So if you look up a custodial account, it is a financial account such as a bank account, a trust fund, or a brokerage account set up for the benefit of a beneficiary, which again would be like your kids or your grandkids or whatever. And so that's another kind of cool perk to using Charles Schwab. But they have an article here that explains all of this as well. You can go to aboutschwab.com/stock slices, or just look it up in Google, and I'll also have a link to this in the show notes. But this is a great way for you to buy, regardless of the stock price of these top S&P 500 companies. You can buy some fractional shares for $5 each. So next we have M1 Finance. So M1 Finance is another, obviously, finance and investing company that lets you invest in fractional shares. Just another option that you have out there. I'm going to try to mention some really good ones for you. And then they are also non-commission based. So when you buy and sell fractional shares, there's no commission that goes to M1 Finance, and they will trade at the market price for a full share. Also, they have a dynamic rebalancing algorithm that they mention here in this article called The Whole Truth About Fractional Shares. Go to m1finance.com and look this up, and it'll mention how their fractional shares work, but I'm going to kind of just summarize it for you. They have this dynamic rebalancing algorithm, that's what they call it, and then it uses fractional shares to maintain your portfolio positions more closely aligned to their target allocations. So it kind of keeps your portfolio in line, more accurately because of these fractional shares now being available. But as far as what you can purchase as little as 1/10,000th of a share of any stock or ETF that trades on the platform. So they have a lot of options for you. They do not take away the ETF option like Charles Schwab does. So keep that in mind. If you're interested in ETF trading, then you might want to go with something like M1 Finance or Stash. Another one that you probably heard of is called Fidelity. So Fidelity.com is the website, and they also sell stocks by the slice as well. So you can do fractional investing for 7,000 US stocks and ETFs. So they do include ETFs here as well. And you can get started with $0 commissions for online US stock and ETF trades, and no account fees or minimums to open a retail brokerage account, which is very nice. Plus, you can trade US stocks and ETFs for as little as $1 each. So their minimum is pretty low, great for if you don't have a lot to spend, and that also has no dollar maximum per order. Fidelity retail accounts, including brokerage, IRAs, and HSAs, are some of the ones that you can use for this, as well as brokerage link accounts offered through some workplace plans, which you may or may not have access to depending on where you work. And then all trades are executed real time during market hours, so you'll always know your share price pretty much at the end of the day. And so fidelity.com/trading/fractional shares is where they have a full, explanation of this. I pretty much covered it, a summary of what they allow here, but they also kind of have a lot of this for the mobile app. So fractional share trading is available through their mobile app, as they say right here. And so you can get that on the Android or Apple App Store. And you can see it's very highly rated. It's not one of those investing apps that has a terrible rating or anything. And so you can manage all of that stuff on your app here. So next you have Sophie.com. Sophie is another one that allows you to invest and manage a lot of your finances and stuff like that. So with Sophie, you can invest with as little as $1, as you can see here on the screen. They offer 43 stocks and ETFs as fractional investments. So they're not going to have as big of a selection right now as far as fractional investments, unless they just recently changed this. But you can invest with as little as $1, of course, which is very good. Sophie also charges 0 trading fees to buy and sell stock bits, which is what they call their fractional trading. They call them stock bits. And you can sell a fraction of a stock bit for any amount you'd like, but the smallest denomination that they support is 5 decimal places. So that's 0.00005, for instance, as an example, would be like the smallest. So, but the sell price is going to have to be at least a penny's worth of value. So keep that in mind as well. It has to be worth at least a penny, whatever you're selling. Otherwise, it won't work. But Sophie's just another great option that you have out here. And they are another one that's very like mobile based. So they have 8,000 reviews so far, like on their Google Play app, for instance, with about a 4 out of 5 star rating. So you can kind of look into whether or not you are interested in them or not. But they do have fractional shares. Again, they do have ETFs and 43 stocks, but just a smaller selection than some of the others I've mentioned. Okay, so the last of these that I'm going to show you is Robinhood, which you may or may not have heard some controversial things about in the news recently, depending on when you watch this video. But I'll kind of get to that a little bit in a minute. But Robinhood does allow you to buy and sell fractional shares. So this is one of the big draws to Robinhood. This is a big reason why they have so many users. They let you buy fractional shares of stocks and ETFs with a market capitalization of $25 million that trade for at least $1. Fractional shares on Robinhood can be as small as 1/1,000,000th of a share, and trading fractional shares is real-time and commission-free. So, you know, real-time, commission-free, that's pretty much something they all offer, but you can get fractional shares for as little as 1/1,000,000th of a share. That's pretty crazy. So outside of that, you can place fractional share orders in dollar amounts or in share amounts. So however you want to structure that, you do have those two options, whereas some of them just have, you know, one of those options. All purchases will be rounded to the nearest penny, of course, and then dividends will be paid to eligible shareholders who own fractions of a stock. So you can actually earn dividends from fractional shares, which is nice as well, as long as they're, of course, eligible for that. Dividend payments will be split based on the fraction of the stock owned and then rounded to the nearest penny, and then you won't be able to transfer fractional shares. So in other words, if you open an account with, say, like Charles Schwab or something, and you want to transfer your investments from Robinhood to that, you can't transfer your fractional shares. You'll have to sell them off first. You can transfer the other, you know, full shares that you have and everything, but fractional shares typically with a lot of platforms cannot be transferred because they're not actual shares. It's, you know, it's something that, you know, probably is common sense, but some people may miss that. So just keep that in mind. And if you initiate a full asset transfer out of Robinhood, your fractional shares will be sold, as I mentioned, and you'll receive the resulting cash back. So you can take that cash that you got from selling off your fractional shares with Robinhood and then use that to invest in, you know, let's say you go to Charles Schwab, you want to invest in fractional shares there, you just want to use their platform instead. You can reinvest that cash into fractional shares there. So you can't transfer these shares themselves, but you get it in cash form and then buy them again in the other one if you want. And if you initiate a partial asset transfer, any fractional shares you own will remain in your Robinhood securities account as fractional shares. So that's just some of what you can get with Robinhood. It sounds really appealing. The only problem with Robinhood is just some of the stuff that's been going on recently. Also, I did mention market capitalization and it having to be $25 million for that. And so that is basically the value of a company that is traded on the stock market, calculated by multiplying the total number of shares by the present share price. So, you know, they need to have at least 25 million in market capitalization for you to do fractional shares with them. And this, of course, is known as an investing app. So you can manage pretty much everything on your phone if you want. They have an app on Apple that has 4 out of 5 stars, 3.2 million ratings. That shows you how many users they have. But let's look at the Google Play version of this. Now you see 300,000+ reviews with a 1.5 out of 5 stars. So here's the thing. They've had multiple controversies going on. I'm not going to get a lot into that. That's some, you know, that's a whole video's worth of stuff right there. But if you want to do some research, look up, you know, the GameStop situation with Robinhood and how they stopped letting people buy investments in GameStop when it was going up, from the whole Reddit scenario that happened not too long ago. You see a lot of negative reviews now that came from that scenario where a lot of these people were trying to get rich off of a rapidly rising GameStop stock, and then they wouldn't let them do it. So I believe Apple was actually removing a lot of these negative reviews from this, and then Google Play was not. And that's probably how you have so many more reviews and a higher rating on one, and then a very terrible rating on the other. So you can go to Robinhood.com and look up their fractional shares section in their help center, and they'll explain a little bit about this. But I pretty much summed up all the things that you really need to know here, and you can just kind of look for maybe a few more things before you get started on this page, which I'll have a link to in the show notes. So again, if you want to see all the negative sides of Robinhood, you can look up Robinhood app GameStop, and it'll be all over, you know, lots of news sites like USA Today, Business Insider, and Yahoo. And then you can also look up some of the problems with like some YouTubers who invested with Robinhood and then had some really bad instances, like Graham Stephan, for instance, who actually ended up suing Robinhood and going through that whole process. So you can kind of read through a few videos about that there. Just look up Graham Stephan, Robinhood, you know, see what you think about his scenario, and then see what you think about the GameStop scenario, and see whether or not you want to choose them to invest with fractional shares or some of the other ones that I mentioned. Of course, it's totally up to you. But those are some of your options if you want to invest in top S&P 500 companies but don't have a lot of money to spare right now. And hopefully this was helpful, and I'll see you in the next video.